ancient African folktale was told for generations to warn people about the danger of greed. You took everything from me. Nomsa's voice cut through the morning air like a knife. She stood in the middle of the dirt road, her clothes torn and dirty, pointing at the big house on the hill. Blood dripped from a cut on her forehead. You married me. You emptied my pockets. And now you think you can just forget about me. Farai stepped onto his porch. He was wearing an expensive suit and gold chains around his neck. He laughed. Actually laughed. Security! Get this crazy woman away from my property, he shouted. Two large men started walking toward Nomsa. She didn't move. Her hands were shaking but her eyes stayed fixed on Farai. I'm not leaving until everyone in this village knows what kind of snake you are, she said. Farai's new girlfriend, Tariro, appeared beside him. She was young and beautiful, wearing a dress that cost more than most people in the village, made in 3 months. She whispered something in his ear and giggled. That's when Nomsa's grandmother pushed through the growing crowd. The old woman looked at Farai with eyes that seemed to see right through him. You will pay for what you've done, the grandmother said quietly. Not today, not tomorrow, but you will pay. Farai just smiled and went back inside his house. The security guards grabbed Nomsa and dragged her away as she screamed. But what happened to bring Nomsa to this moment? How did a wealthy woman end up broken and bleeding in the street? And what was the grandmother's plan that would make Farai wish he had never been born? Let's go back to where it all started. 2 years earlier, Nomsa was the richest woman in her village. Her father had died and left her 4 successful maize farms and a transportation business with 12 trucks. She was only 32 years old, but she employed over 50 people. Everyone respected her. But Nomsa had one problem. She was lonely. You need a husband. Her mother told her every single week. What's the point of all this money if you have no one to share it with? People are starting to talk. They say you think you're too good for the men here. Nomsa didn't think she was too good for anyone. She just hadn't found the right person. Most men who approached her only saw her money. They didn't see her. Then one day, everything changed. She was at the market buying vegetables when she heard someone singing. The voice was beautiful. She followed the sound and found a man sitting under a tree with a guitar. He was singing about lost love and broken dreams. A small crowd had gathered around him. The man was handsome. He had kind eyes and a gentle smile. When he finished his song, people clapped and threw coins into his guitar case. He thanked each person by name. Nomsa walked up to him. That was beautiful, she said. He looked up at her and smiled. Thank you, I'm Farai. I'm Nomsa. They talked for an hour. Farai told her he had moved to the village 3 months ago from the city. He said he was a musician trying to make it big, but times were hard. He lived in a small room behind the church and did odd jobs to survive. Money isn't everything, he told her. I've learned that happiness comes from simple things. Good friends, good music, a kind heart. Nomsa felt something warm spread through her chest. Finally, she had met someone who cared about more than money. They started seeing each other every day. Farai never asked where she lived or what she did for work. He seemed genuinely interested in her thoughts, her dreams, her fears. He made her laugh. He held her hand while they walked. He wrote songs about her. After 3 months, Nomsa told him the truth about her wealth. Farai's eyes widened. You own all of that? He asked. Yes, she said nervously. Does it change anything between us? He pulled her close. Of course not. I fell in love with you, not your bank account. But Nomsa, I have to be honest with you about something. Her heart started beating faster. What is it? I'm ashamed to tell you this, but I have debt. A lot of debt. Back in the city, I borrowed money from some dangerous people to record my music. They want it back, and if I don't pay them soon, He looked down. I'm scared they might hurt me. Nomsa felt terrible for him. How much do you owe? $50,000, he whispered. It was a lot of money, but Nomsa had it. She didn't even have to think twice. I'll help you, she said. Farai looked shocked. No, I can't let you do that. It's too much. You're the first man who ever loved me for me, Nomsa said. Let me help you. Please. He hugged her tight. You're an angel, he whispered. I promise I'll pay you back every cent. She paid off his debt. Farai cried tears of joy. He said she had saved his life. 2 weeks later, he proposed. Nomsa said yes, without hesitation. Her mother was thrilled. Her friends were happy for her. The whole village celebrated their wedding. It was the biggest party anyone had seen in years. On their wedding night, Farai held Nomsa's hand and said, I'm the luckiest man alive. She believed him. The first month of marriage was perfect. Farai moved into Nomsa's big house. He acted grateful for everything. He helped around the house. He was kind to her workers. But then small things started to change. These trucks are old, Farai said one morning. If you want the business to grow, you need to invest in new ones. They work fine, Nomsa said. My father bought them and they've never let us down. But think about how much more money you could make with newer, faster trucks, Farai insisted. Trust me, I know about business. Nomsa wasn't sure, but she loved her husband. She bought 3 new trucks. They cost $120,000. Then Farai said they should combine their bank accounts. We're married now, he explained. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. That's how marriage works. Nomsa's grandmother warned her not to do it. Keep your money separate, the old woman said. Just in case. In case of what? Nomsa asked. Don't you trust my husband? I don't trust any man I've only known for 4 months, her grandmother replied. But Nomsa didn't listen. She combined the accounts. Farai now had access to all her money. Things moved faster after that. Farai said he needed a car to help with business meetings. She bought him one. He said they should hire his cousin to manage one of the farms. She agreed. He said he needed new clothes to look professional. She bought them. Every week, Farai needed something else. Every week, Nomsa said yes. 6 months into the marriage, Nomsa checked their bank account. She nearly fainted. Half her money was gone. She had started with $800,000. Now there was only $400,000 left. She confronted Farai that night. Where did all our money go? He looked surprised. What do you mean? I've been investing it, growing the business. These things take time, Nomsa. You have to spend money to make money. But this is too much, too fast, she said. We need to slow down. Farai's face changed. His kind smile disappeared. Are you saying you don't trust me? His voice was cold. After everything I've done for you, I gave up my music career to help run your business. I worked day and night to make you successful. And this is the thanks I get? Nomsa felt guilty. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I'm just worried. You should be thanking me, not questioning me, Farai said. He left the room and slammed the door. That night, he slept in the guest room. Nomsa cried herself to sleep. The next morning, Farai acted like nothing had happened. He was sweet again. He brought her breakfast in bed and apologized. I'm sorry I got angry, he said. I just want the best for us, for our future children. Nomsa forgave him. But a tiny seed of doubt had been planted in her heart. 3 months later, Nomsa discovered she was pregnant. She was so happy. Farai seemed happy too. He threw a big party to celebrate. He invited everyone in the village. But the next week, Nomsa got sick. Very sick. She couldn't keep food down. She felt weak all the time. The doctor said it was normal pregnancy sickness, but it felt wrong somehow. Farai took over everything while she was bedridden. He said she needed to rest. He said he would handle the business. He said she shouldn't worry about anything. Nomsa was too sick to argue. She stayed in bed for weeks. Her grandmother came to take care of her every day. "Something is wrong," the old woman whispered one afternoon. "This isn't normal pregnancy sickness. I've seen 7 daughters and 23 granddaughters go through pregnancy. This is something else." "What do you mean?" Nomsa asked weakly. The grandmother looked around to make sure Farai wasn't nearby. "I think someone is poisoning you. Small amounts, just enough to keep you weak and confused." "That's crazy," Nomsa said. "Who would do that?" Her grandmother didn't answer. She didn't have to. They both knew who had access to Nomsa's food and drinks. But Nomsa didn't want to believe it. She couldn't believe it. Farai loved her. He was going to be the father of her child. Then one night, Nomsa woke up and Farai wasn't in bed. She heard voices downstairs. She got up slowly, holding onto the wall for support. She crept to the top of the stairs and looked down. Farai was on the phone. He was laughing. "Yes, everything is going perfectly," he said to whoever was on the other end. "The stupid woman suspects nothing. I've already moved most of the money to our offshore accounts. The property transfers are almost complete. Give me 2 more weeks and I'll have everything. Then I'll get rid of her and we can finally be together." Nomsa's heart stopped. She couldn't breathe. She wanted to scream but no sound came out. Farai continued talking. "The baby, please. There is no baby. I've been putting miscarriage herbs in her food for weeks. She'll lose it any day now, and everyone will think it's natural." Poor Nomsa, so sad, couldn't handle the stress. That's when Nomsa fainted and fell down the stairs. Nomsa woke up in the hospital. Pain shot through her entire body. A nurse was standing over her, checking machines that beeped steadily. "Where's my baby?" Nomsa whispered. Her throat felt like sandpaper. The nurse's face told her everything before words came out. "I'm so sorry. You lost the baby in the fall." Nomsa turned her face to the wall and cried silently. Not just for her baby, but for everything. Her marriage was a lie. Her husband was a thief and a murderer. She had been so blind. Farai walked into the room carrying flowers. He had tears in his eyes. "Oh, my love, I'm so sorry about our baby." Nomsa wanted to spit in his face, but something stopped her. If she let him know that she knew the truth, he might finish what he started. She needed time. She needed a plan. "It's not your fault," she said weakly, forcing the words out. Farai squeezed her hand. His touch made her skin crawl. "The doctor says you need to rest for a few weeks. Don't worry about anything. I'll take care of everything." That's exactly what Nomsa was afraid of. Nomsa stayed in the hospital for 5 days. Her grandmother visited every afternoon when Farai was gone. "I heard what he said on the phone," Nomsa whispered. "You were right about everything." The old woman nodded slowly. "What will you do?" "I don't know yet, but I need to get out of that house. I need to check what he's done to my businesses." "Be careful," her grandmother warned. "A snake is most dangerous when it knows it's been discovered." When Nomsa finally came home, the house felt different, colder. She noticed small things missing: her mother's jewelry box, her father's watch, the expensive vase from the living room. She waited until Farai left for business meetings, then rushed to her office. She opened her laptop and checked her bank accounts. Empty. Completely empty. She checked the business accounts. Also empty. She called her lawyer. "Mr. Chipo, I need to know the status of my properties." There was a long silence on the other end. "Mrs. Nomsa, I received transfer papers 3 weeks ago signed by you. All 4 farms and the transportation business have been transferred to your husband's name. The papers looked legitimate, so I processed them." Nomsa's hands started shaking. I never signed anything. The signature matched perfectly. And your husband said you were too sick to come to the office, so he brought them to you. Nomsa hung up. Farai had forged her signature. Everything was gone. The farms her father died working on. The business he built from nothing. 12 years of her own hard work. All stolen. She checked her bedroom safe where she kept emergency cash. Empty. She checked her jewelry boxes. Empty. Farai had taken everything. He had left her with nothing. Nomsa collapsed on the floor. How could she have been so stupid? How could she have trusted him so completely? That evening, Farai came home with suitcases. He wasn't even pretending anymore. Where are you going? Nomsa asked, though she already knew. I'm leaving you, Farai said casually, like he was talking about the weather. This marriage was a mistake. You're boring. You're weak. And honestly, you were too easy. You stole everything from me, Nomsa said. Her voice was surprisingly calm. Farai smiled. That same charming smile that had made her fall in love. Now it looked like a demon's grin. I didn't steal anything. Everything is legally in my name. You signed it all over to me, remember? Well, technically you didn't, but the law thinks you did. The money in the bank accounts? Transferred offshore. Good luck trying to find it. He picked up his suitcases. Oh, and about the baby. I'm not sorry. I never wanted children with you. I already have 3 kids with my real girlfriend. We've been together for 5 years. This whole thing was her idea actually. She's quite brilliant. Nomsa felt like someone had poured ice water into her veins. Tariro? You know about her? Farai looked impressed. Yes, Tariro. She's waiting for me right now in our new house. Your old house actually. The one on the hill. The one you bought with your father's money. He walked to the door and stopped. You can stay here for 3 more days. Then the new owners are moving in. I sold this place too. He laughed. You should see your face right now. Priceless. Then he left. Nomsa sat in the empty house as darkness fell around her. She had nothing. No money. No property. No baby. No husband. Nothing. She thought about ending it all. Just walking into the river and never coming back. What was the point of living? But then she thought about her father. He had worked every single day of his life to build something for her. He had dreamed of her future, her success, her happiness, and this snake had destroyed it all. No, she wouldn't die. She would fight. Nomsa went to her grandmother's small house at midnight. The old woman opened the door before Nomsa could knock. I've been expecting you, she said. Inside, there was hot tea waiting. Nomsa told her grandmother everything. When she finished, the old woman was quiet for a long time. In the old days, before police and courts, our people had ways of dealing with men like Farai, the grandmother finally said. Justice was swift and painful. The police won't help me, Nomsa said. Everything is legal. He tricked me into signing papers. He forged my signature on others. But he covered his tracks well. Then we won't use police, the grandmother said. Her eyes gleamed in the lamplight. We'll use something older. Something that has worked for thousands of years. What do you mean? The grandmother leaned forward. Farai thinks he's won. He thinks you're broken. He thinks you just disappear quietly. That's his weakness. His pride. I don't understand. We're going to use his greed against him, just like he used your trust against you. The grandmother smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. But first, you need to make him think he's completely destroyed you. You need to become invisible. You need to disappear. For the next 3 months, Nomsa lived like a ghost. She stayed in her grandmother's house. She wore old clothes. She stopped bathing regularly. She let her hair become wild and tangled. People who saw her whispered and pointed. "Look what happened to her," they said. "The poor woman has lost her mind." That's exactly what Nomsa wanted them to think. Meanwhile, her grandmother's network of old women went to work. They watched Farai, they listened to gossip, they gathered information. Farai was living large. He had bought 3 new cars. He threw parties every weekend. He and Tariro wore expensive clothes and jewelry. They traveled to expensive places and posted pictures on social media. But Nomsa also learned something interesting. Farai was already looking for his next victim. He had been seen talking to a widow from the next village. A woman who had just inherited her husband's diamond mine. "Leopards don't change their spots," the grandmother said. Nomsa also learned that Farai had enemies. The dangerous people he claimed to owe money to in the city, they were real. And they weren't happy. Farai had borrowed money from them to start his scheme with Nomsa, promising to pay them back triple. He never did. "These men don't go to police," one of the grandmothers reported. "They handle things their own way." A plan began forming in Nomsa's mind. That's how we arrived at the moment from the beginning. Nomsa standing in the street, bloody and screaming at Farai's house. But what people didn't know was that the blood on her face was chicken blood. The torn clothes were carefully prepared. The whole scene was an act. After the security guards threw her out, Nomsa went back to her grandmother's house and cleaned up. She had accomplished what she needed. Everyone in the village had seen her confront Farai. Everyone knew the story now. That night, Nomsa made a phone call. She had gotten the number from one of her grandmother's friends who had a son in the city. "Hello?" A rough voice answered. "Is this Tendai?" Nomsa asked. Tendai was the leader of the men Farai owed money to. "Who's asking?" "My name is Nomsa. I'm Farai's ex-wife. I have information you might want." There was silence then. "I'm listening." Nomsa told him everything. Where Farai kept his money, where he had hidden assets, the fake names he used, the offshore accounts, everything she had spent 3 months discovering. "Why are you telling me this?" Tendai asked suspiciously. "Because he destroyed my life. And because I know you'll get your money back and make sure he never does this to anyone else." "What do you want in return?" "I want to watch." Tendai laughed. It was not a nice sound. "I like you, deal." 3 days later, Farai was driving his expensive car when another car forced him off the road. 4 large men pulled him out. They threw a bag over his head and drove him to an abandoned warehouse at the edge of town. When they removed the bag, Farai saw Tendai sitting in a chair, and standing behind him was Nomsa. But this wasn't the crazy broken Nomsa from the street. This was the old Nomsa. Clean, strong, angry. "Remember me?" Tendai asked. "You owe me $200,000. Farai's face went white. I can get you the money. Just give me time." "You had time. 2 years of time. Now I'm done waiting. Please, I have the money. It's in offshore accounts. I can transfer it right now." "Oh, we know about the accounts," Tendai said. He gestured to Nomsa. "She told us everything." Farai looked at Nomsa with pure hatred. This is your fault. You're just a bitter woman who can't accept that I was smarter than you." Nomsa walked forward until she was standing right in front of him. "You're right. I was stupid. I trusted you. I loved you. I believed your lies. But you know what? You made a bigger mistake." "What mistake?" Farai spat. "You underestimated me. You thought I would just disappear quietly. You thought I was too weak to fight back." Tendai's men forced Farai into a chair. His hands were tied behind his back. "Here's what's going to happen," Tendai said calmly. "You're going to transfer every single dollar back to Nomsa. Then you're going to sign papers returning all her property. Then you're going to pay me what you owe me. And if I don't..." Farai tried to sound brave, but his voice shook. Tendai didn't answer with words. He nodded to one of his men. The man stepped forward and punched Farai in the stomach. Hard. Farai doubled over, gasping for air. That was just a taste, Tendai said. We can do this the easy way or the painful way. Your choice. For the next hour, Farai had no choice but to cooperate. They brought a laptop. He logged into his offshore accounts with shaking hands. One by one, he transferred money back to Nomsa's new bank account. $600,000. Everything he had stolen, minus what he'd already spent. Then he signed property transfer documents returning the farms and the transportation business to Nomsa. Real documents this time, witnessed by a real lawyer that Tendai had brought. The houses too, Nomsa said. Both of them. Farai signed those papers as well. His face was wet with tears now. Now my payment, Tendai said. I don't have your money anymore, Farai sobbed. I spent some of it. The rest I just transferred to her. Tendai looked at Nomsa. She looked back at Farai. You killed my baby, Nomsa said quietly. You poisoned me. You stole 12 years of my work. You destroyed everything my father built. She paused. $200,000 seems like a fair price for you to pay. She nodded at Tendai. Take it from what he just transferred to me. We're even now. Tendai smiled and transferred the money to his own account. Pleasure doing business with you. Wait, Farai said desperately. That's it? You got your money. Can I go now? Tendai and Nomsa looked at each other. Then they both started laughing. Oh, Farai, Nomsa said. We're not done yet. Tendai's men dragged Farai outside to the back of the warehouse. Nomsa followed. Her grandmother was waiting there with 5 other old women from the village. What is this? Farai asked, his voice rising in panic. In the old days, when a man stole from a widow or murdered an unborn child, the punishment was severe, Nomsa's grandmother said. She held a long wooden stick in her wrinkled hands. The entire village would gather. The elders would deliver justice. Not death, but pain. Pain that would last. Pain that would remind the criminal every day of what he had done. You can't do this, Farai screamed. This is illegal. I'll go to the police. And tell them what? Tendai asked. That you stole money from your wife, forged her signature, poisoned her, killed her unborn baby, and then got beaten up. Please, go ahead. I'm sure the police will be very sympathetic. Nomsa's grandmother handed the stick to Nomsa. You have the right, she said. What he did to you gives you the right. Nomsa held the stick. It was heavy. She looked at Farai. He was crying now, begging for mercy. She thought about her father, her baby, her stolen life. She raised the stick. What happened next was not pretty. Nomsa didn't kill him, but she made sure he felt every bit of pain she had felt, every lie, every betrayal, every moment of suffering. The other women took turns. Each one represented a woman Farai had hurt or might hurt in the future. When they finished, Farai was curled on the ground, moaning. He had broken ribs, a broken arm, bruises covering his entire body. But he was alive. If you ever come near me again, Nomsa said, standing over him. If you ever try to take revenge, if you even speak my name, I will find you. And next time, I won't stop these men from killing you. Do you understand? Farai nodded weakly. Good. Nomsa dropped the stick beside him. Also, I called Tariro's husband. Farai's eyes widened. What? Oh, you didn't know? She's married too. Her husband lives in South Africa, works in the mines. Big man, very strong, very jealous. I sent him pictures of you and his wife together. Nomsa smiled. He's catching a bus here tonight. Should arrive around midnight. Fresh terror filled Farai's eyes. Nomsa turned and walked away. She didn't look back. 3 months later, Nomsa stood on her father's farm, watching the sunset. The maize was growing tall and green. Her trucks were running routes across the country. She had hired back all her old workers and given them raises. Her grandmother stood beside her, leaning on her walking stick. "How do you feel?" the old woman asked. "Different," Nomsa said. "Stronger, sadder, wiser. That's what pain does. It either destroys you or makes you unbreakable." What happened to Farai? Tariro's husband found him that night. They say Farai ran away to another country. Mozambique, maybe. Or Zambia. No one knows for sure. But he's gone. And Tariro? Her husband took her back to South Africa. I hear she's not very happy there. The grandmother's eyes twinkled. Justice has many forms. Nomsa touched her stomach. It was flat now. Empty. The baby was gone forever. "Do you think you'll ever trust anyone again?" her grandmother asked. "Maybe," Nomsa said. "But next time, I'll keep my eyes open. I'll listen to the warning signs. I'll protect what's mine." That's all any of us can do. They stood in silence, watching the sun paint the sky orange and red. "Thank you," Nomsa said, "for everything, for believing me, for helping me fight back." "That's what family does," her grandmother replied. "We protect our own. That's the old way. That's the right way." News of what happened spread through the villages like wildfire. People talked about it in markets, at churches, in fields. The story changed and grew with each telling. Some said Nomsa had magical powers. Some said Farai was dead. Some said he was living as a beggar in a faraway city, crippled and broken. But everyone agreed on one thing. You don't mess with a determined woman who has nothing left to lose. Young women came to Nomsa for advice. "How do I protect myself?" they asked. "How do I know if a man really loves me?" Nomsa always told them the same thing. Keep your eyes open. Trust your grandmother. Never give anyone complete control over your money or your life. Love is beautiful, but wisdom is survival. She never married again. She didn't need to. She had her businesses, she had her family, she had herself, and that was enough. Late at night, sometimes, she would think about Farai. Not with love or even hatred, just with a cold understanding. He was a predator. She had been prey, but she had become a predator too when she needed to. That's what survival looks like sometimes. Not pretty, not gentle, but real. Her grandmother lived 5 more years and died peacefully in her sleep. On her last day, she told Nomsa, "I'm proud of you. You didn't let him break you. You broke him instead." "Was it wrong?" Nomsa asked. "What we did," the old woman smiled. "Justice and revenge are often the same thing. The difference is who's telling the story." Nomsa kept that wisdom close to her heart. Years later, she heard that Farai had died in Mozambique. Alone, sick, poor. No one came to his funeral. No one mourned him. Nomsa didn't celebrate when she heard. She didn't cry either. She simply nodded and continued walking. Some demons need to be fought. Some need to be beaten. And some just need to be forgotten. Farai had taught her an important lesson, though he never meant to. The strongest person in the room isn't the one who takes. It's the one who survives what was taken and rebuilds anyway. Nomsa rebuilt. And she made sure every woman in her village knew her story. Not as a warning to fear men, but as a reminder to trust themselves. Because in the end, that's what saved her. Not revenge, not violence, not even justice. It was the simple act of refusing to disappear. Stories like this were used to teach values long before modern psychology.